following is a CUNY TV special presentation.
This is the 12th annual presentation of the Peter Jennings Laurel Award scholarships, and that is worthy of a great round of applause. Today we honor the special achievements of 11 graduates of CUNY's Adult Literacy High School Equivalency Exam Preparation Program, formerly known as the GED program, funded by the New York State Education Department and the Mayor's Office of the City of New York. 14 CUNY campuses have been running this program for more than 30 years. The High School Equivalency Program awarded to students who successfully complete the examination is granted through the auspices of the New York State Education Department. Today's Scholarship Award winners have shown their determination and commitment to be admitted to college-level study by excelling on the exam. Their lives are complicated, as you will soon hear, filled with the responsibilities of work and childcare, and for many, adjustment to a new language and culture. That is, of course, the CUNY story. Yet they kept their eyes on the prize, a college degree leading to a better future for themselves and their families. On behalf of all of us here today, teachers, counselors, administrators, dignitaries, and family members, we want you, today's award winners, to know how much we admire you and your accomplishments. You've worked hard to earn your diploma, and we know you are up to the challenge of working even harder in college, completing the coursework for your chosen career, and graduating. Our scholarship ceremony today is named for the preeminent journalist Peter Jennings, the anchor of ABC's World News Tonight, who passed away in 2005 at age 67. He truly valued education and took great pleasure in connecting with students like this year's honorees. The Chancellor and I were talking about the fact that Peter Jennings used to come here an hour earlier, 45 minutes earlier, and just sit and read the biographies of the graduates. And he just took it all in and was just so enormously impressed with your accomplishments. Those of us who were privileged to have seen him speaking one-to-one to students, taking a deep interest in their stories, as I've indicated, remember his efforts with such great delight. We're especially grateful to Peter's wife and renowned television journalist and reporter Kayce Freed Jennings for continuing Peter's legacy by her presence and participation at this ceremony, and for her contribution through the Peter Jennings Foundation in support of the Scholarship Fund. And we want to thank the Abernathy McGregor Group for its ongoing support and generosity. They've been with us from the beginning. Thank you very much. Let's give them a special round of appreciation. Now I have a very great honor because I'm going to introduce our first speaker. He comes to us from the University of Nebraska, where for the past 10 years he raised student enrollments to record levels, led a $1.8 billion fundraising campaign, established $250 million in scholarships for needy students, many academic programs, many global initiatives. He previously served as the Senior Vice President of the 16-campus University of North Carolina system. He served in numerous leadership roles on a national level, working with the most prestigious national education organizations. He really has returned to New York City because he received his law degree from New York University Law School as a Ruth Tilden Scholar, worked here for 10 years. Although he did many things, one of the most inspiring aspects to me is the fact that he worked for the Legal Aid Society and was very close to the students of the city. He's proven that time and time again. So please welcome the new Chancellor of the City University of New York, James B. Milliken.
Thank you. Well, my remarks say that I'm pleased to greet Manhattan Borough President Gale Brewer, so I will be pleased to greet Gale Brewer as soon as she gets here. I know she's on her way. I also want to repeat the warm welcome to Kayce Freed Jennings. Thank you for your continuing commitment to this incredible endeavor. I'm delighted to have the chance to meet Dwight Howard Johnson, today's speaker, a role model from whom all of us can learn a thing or two, a successful graduate from this program. Special word of thanks to CUNY Vice Chancellor Julia Wrigley, Dean John MOGULESCU, and Suri Deich and Leslie Oppenheim, whose hard work has enabled this program to thrive. But most of all, to today's award winners, each of whom I had the chance to meet briefly, but before coming today had the chance to read their biographies, which are among the most impressive things I've seen recently. You have all overcome great things to be here today, and I am confident that you will continue to do very, very well. I want to offer special thanks to the teachers, some of whom are here today with us, who helped lead the way, the family members who are able to be here and who have supported you, significant others who have helped you get to this day. So at this point, I want to ask all of us, especially the people in the front row, to thank the people behind you who have been behind you throughout this process. So I'm lucky this is only my third week, and I've got to do a lot of great things, including today's ceremony. But the first week I started, I went to 4 commencement ceremonies, some of which you will attend later. I went to Ostos on my second day. I went to LaGuardia Community College commencement. I went to the Macaulay Honors College commencement, and the commencement for this, where we are today, the Graduate Center of the City University of New York. It's a great season. Everybody's so happy this time of year, and it's great. It's great to be around students who are happy. As I said, this is an incredibly impressive group. You have done so much to get here. You have worked hard. You value education in a way that we all talk about, but few people demonstrate the way you do, the commitment that you're willing to make to get to this point, the pain and sacrifice to get here. But now you have a great gift. You have an education that no one can take from you, that you will continue to build on, that will never diminish in value, that will open doors for you throughout your lives. So as the Vice Chancellor said, the man who began these awards and for whom they're named, Peter Jennings, didn't graduate from high school, but he went on to become one of the most gifted and respected reporters in television history. And he famously said that he never spent a day in his adult life where he didn't learn something. I suspect each of you could say the same thing. So today you mark the satisfaction of one degree, the beginning of another, and maybe more. You won't have to go far if you want to keep going. CUNY is perhaps the only place in America where you can begin with a high school equivalency degree and end with a PhD. Used to be, I could say, GED to PhD. It had kind of a better rhythm to it, but HSE to PhD will have to do. You know, interesting fact that I have learned recently, that 20% of all PhD recipients, a sort of pinnacle of education, start at a community college. So there's just terrific opportunity in one city, in one institution at CUNY, and we're so pleased that you are participating with us. So the late Gabriel Garcia Marquez wrote, "It's not true that people stop pursuing their dreams because they grow old. They grow old because they stop pursuing their dreams." Something tells me that the people being honored today already know that and will not stop dreaming. I want to congratulate you again, encourage you to keep dreaming, encourage you to keep pursuing your education and everything that it'll lead you in your successful lives. Congratulations to you.
Our next speaker has been with CUNY in the Office of Academic Affairs for more than 25 years, because he started when he was 6 years old, during which time he created numerous collaborative programs with the New York City Public Schools, developed CUNY Prep Transitional High School, the CUNY Language Immersion Program, CUNY Start, the New Community College, the Adult Literacy and High School Equivalency Exam Preparation Program, ASAP, many others, too numerous to name, and this was just on the weekends. He's very well known for his creativity, for his diligence, and for his determination. Please welcome the Senior University Dean and the leader of the CUNY School of Professional Studies, John MÖGULESCU.
Thank you, Jay, for a really kind, kind introduction. It is great to have the Chancellor here today. I just think it is so important for the people in this room, and I can speak on their behalf, for him to take time from what has been an incredibly busy 3 weeks, not even 3 weeks, to acknowledge the winners here today and the program that we are so proud of. So, Chancellor Milliken, I thank you for being here today with us. You know, I sometimes you wake up with a sense of dread in the morning, and not too many days for me, but occasionally. And today I woke up so alert and feeling this sense of glow, realizing that the first part of my day would be spent here with everybody. This is an incredibly important program for me because it really, in many respects, frames my own career at CUNY. Over 40 years ago, and Jay said 20, I guess it's been 26 or so at the central office, but another 13 at CUNY. So over 40 years ago, I started my CUNY career teaching and administering a campus-based adult literacy high school equivalency program at what is now CUNY's New York City College of Technology. I look around and I see Jane McKillop and Marcy Wolf and Blanche Kellerwan, all who go back to some of those beginning days when we were beginning to build this program. I came to the central office to oversee a greatly expanded literacy program, which has provided the foundation of a range of important work. Not only has the program survived and expanded over the past quarter century, but its talented staff have helped to change CUNY. Jay mentioned a couple of the programs, and I kind of led them, but our CUNY START program, which began with a pilot of 15 students that had come out of the literacy program, and now this innovative curriculum developed by the literacy practitioners will be enrolling 4,000 students next year at CUNY. And I think without doubt has demonstrated that remediation does not have to be a dead end and can be a kind of a way to enter CUNY in a different and more productive way. Literacy program practitioners were key members of the teams that helped build our new GUZMAN Community College and ASAP programs, created the Emmy Award-winning television series We Are New York, and changed the way we deliver ESL instruction here at CUNY through the CUNY language immersion programs. These are incredible accomplishments. In preparation for today's ceremony, as we do every year, we followed up on what happened to the Peter Jennings Scholarship winners from prior years. The results are impressive. Most of them have gone on to study at a CUNY college. A total of 69 degrees have been earned already by award winners. These include 45 associate degrees and 22 bachelor's degrees. 2 students have earned master's degrees, no PhDs yet, but I think as the Chancellor indicated, my guess is there will be some coming out of this room. Grade point averages of former scholarship winners are 3.45, which is fabulous. We have a couple of former winners here in the audience. Hawley Seeley, there. Has been a high school equivalency teacher, tutor, mentor in math at Medgar Evers College, recently also at Literacy Partners. Of course, Dwight Howard Johnson, who's going to be speaking shortly, I think, so I just want to, again, acknowledge him. Similar to what the Chancellor said, I thank so much the teachers, the advisors, the counselors, and everybody who worked so incredibly hard to make this program successful. I want to especially mention Kate Brandt and Mark Truszkowski of our central office staff, who are just so creative and just amazing staff developers, and of course the teachers as well. The program is only as good as the teaching staff. And then my colleague Leslie Oppenheim, who when I started in 1986, we shared a small office with a sink in the middle of the office. I don't know what it was doing there, but it was. She is such an amazing educator and brilliant and creative, and whether we are New York or literacy or the language immersion program, all due to Leslie's work, and I thank you, Leslie, for it. Suri Deitch, who you'll hear from in a moment when she reads the bios, has been my partner and deputy for the last number of years, an exceptional educator, leading expert in workforce and economic development in the city of New York, and I want to acknowledge Suri as well. And thank Ramon Tercera and Pat Gray and Andre Beckles and Marianella Figueroa, all for helping out us for this. You know, events like this don't happen by accident. And then also acknowledge, I guess, my 30-year partner from the State Ed Department, Bob Perga, who's here. And I thank you, Bob, for all that you've done for this university. And finally, for the students, you know, you're the reason why we're here today, and your stories are extraordinary. Your accomplishments are wonderful. I think your future are even brighter. College, though, is hard, and you're going to have to work hard at it. And I have no doubt that you will, but you should also feel that you're going to rely on this whole community of people who have your backs and want you to succeed. I have no doubt that you will. And then finally, to Kayce Freed Jennings, and as the Chancellor and Jay both said, we are so grateful that you are still with us and how much you have embraced this program. So I'm honored to be here with all of you today. It's a great moment for me, and I'm very appreciative.
See what happens when you start at CUNY when you're 6 years old? Our next speaker, as the Chancellor has indicated, as John has indicated, has a very special connection to today's ceremony, and she's been with us every year from the very, very beginning. She is the co-founder of the documentary group and senior producer of Girl Rising, a global campaign for girls' education. She was a producer at ABC News for 20 years, covering international and national news for virtually every news division broadcast, and was on the staffs of Nightline, World News Tonight, and 2020. She has close affiliations with a number of nonprofit organizations, including Concern Worldwide, Teach for America, and the Coalition for the Homeless. She serves as vice chair of the board of WIN, an agency that serves homeless families in wonderful ways, and helped create the Peter Jennings Project for Journalists and the Constitution. Please welcome Kayce Freed Jennings.
Well, when I first started coming here, I didn't have to wear glasses. Now I do, even with really big type. First of all, I'm so happy to be here. Everyone has thanked me today, but really, I thank you. This is the best, one of the very best days of my year. It's truly inspirational. I walk out of here each year recommitted to making the most of my life and doing what I can to encourage others to make the most of theirs. So again, thank you for you guys for inviting me back, and thank you guys for inspiring me. As mentioned, I've been working for the last few years on a global campaign to educate girls in the developing world called Girl Rising, and it's really about the transformative power of education. At its center is a film that tells stories of 9 girls that who confront and surmount the barriers, sometimes almost unimaginable, that stand between them and school. And I've brought, you'll get later, a DVD for each of you of the film. And by the way, it says on it in small print, please return after use. Please don't return after use. Please keep it. Please watch it. Please give it to your friends to watch. But I do hope you'll watch it, because I think you'll see yourselves in these girls, even those of you who are older and even those of you who aren't girls, because you share their indomitable spirit. You share their tenacity and their courage and their promise. And you all amaze me, as they did. It's likely that most of you never saw my husband Peter at work, and some of you probably didn't hear of him until this award. But as it was already said, he was an outstanding news anchor, a tremendous reporter, an excellent editor, and a very good man. But what's more important for you to know, and what the Chancellor referred to, is that he was a lifelong learner. He was relentlessly curious, with an insatiable enthusiasm and appetite for knowledge. As you also heard, he was a high school dropout. Every one of you has gone further in school than he ever did. So he'd be humbled today, and more than a little envious. And like I am, he'd be inspired. Because, as again, both the Vice Chancellor and the Chancellor said, all of you have worked so hard, and you've battled through so much to get here, and you so easily could have given up, but you didn't. You were teenage fathers, you were victims of violence, young immigrants. You've taken care of sick relatives and children. You've had to learn a new language and navigate a new culture. You've survived drug abuse and lost custody of your children. You've had to work too many jobs on too little sleep. But that's where you've been and what you've lived through. I want to talk a little bit about who you are today, because you all battled adversity and you're all beating it. And I know who you are today a little bit, because one of the great things about being here to present these awards is I get to read all the submissions. I get to read what your nominators say about you, and I get to read about what you say about yourselves. And that's a privilege. So I thought I'd take this opportunity, your bios will be shared later, but I thought I'd take this opportunity to share just a snippet of what I read about you and what I read from you. And by doing that, introduce you to each other. So I felt I got to know you just a little bit, and I want the rest of you to have that opportunity too. So to start with, meet your fellow honoree, Jermaine Fairweather. Jermaine is a ray of sunshine in any room he enters. He's a winner and inspires us all around him to be winners also. That's what his nominator said. And from Jermaine himself, as the arbiter of my destiny, I plan on dreaming big, thinking big, and achieving big. Well, talking to him this morning, I think he will do all of that and be a great neurologist to boot. Alexis Booker, he wrote, after the summer, it's back to school. It took me 40 years after many summers to return to school. Alexis said he overcame these fears by simply showing up in class and participating. Once I was involved, he said, it became rhythmic. I love that. When Alpha Ba dropped out of his last year of high school, he said, it wasn't my intent, but what to do when you don't have something to eat? I think that's a very fair question. Still, his teacher now describes Alpha as a thoughtful and able planner of his own educational destiny. Now listen to this from Luana Almengo's teacher. After 25 years of teaching, there are not a handful of students whose perseverance, courage, and cheerful goodwill stand out more in my memory. Among her fellows, Juana has a rock star status. Wow. You said, Juana, you said, I will show my kids that nothing is impossible. Samuel GUZMAN, you always sat in the front row when you came to class. And you'll notice he's tall. He must have blocked a few people. And I love this. Sometimes your teacher said you were the only one willing to risk having the wrong answer. And that's something I envy. It's so great. Completing the GED program you wrote is my biggest accomplishment as of now, but I plan to have many more larger than this. Mohammed Islam has been a diligent, active student who proved from the beginning his dedication, seriousness, commitment, and intelligence. In August, Mohammed passed the test, and then he said, I started dreaming about college. SHANNA Medlock. Her teacher says she watched SHANNA work fearlessly to get her life back on track and reunite her family. I never thought college would be a possibility for me, but here I am, SHANNA wrote. Working hard and having others believe in you until you believe in yourself makes all the difference in the world. Now I want to pay it forward and be a positive influence in someone else's life. This morning she said today was beyond her wildest dreams. ELAUDIS MENDEZ Enrique. We didn't get to meet before. Hi. When you want success, she says, you have to challenge your lifestyle by educating yourself. The challenge gives you the courage to achieve your goals. And Daniel Quiros, did I say that right? I wish any teacher I had ever had would have said anything like this ever about me. They didn't, I assure you. But listen to this. Every so often in my long teaching career, a student would enter my classroom and change everything about the learning experience. Daniel was the student who asked why. Daniel's why questions helped drive the class to deeper and broader understanding. Midway through the curriculum, the whole class was posing problems and asking why. And from Daniel himself, maybe someday I can be that teacher who helps a young immigrant boy to reach his own distant dream of a college education. Linda Sorkin's teacher said, I love this, I was warned that she was outspoken and kind of feisty, so you can imagine my shock when I set eyes on a 4'9" Hasidic woman with a gentle, small, and sweet voice. But she went on to say, beneath her exterior was a spine of steel. Linda proved that by working day and night and every extra minute. Xana Tate. Miss Tate was an extraordinary student who challenged me to be a better teacher. She is determined, ambitious, and intelligent. That's from her teacher. And from Xana, my motto is believe in yourself. You're the only person that can believe like you do. Believe in you like you do, excuse me. I'm going to start that again, because she said it better. My motto is believe in yourself, for you are the only person that can believe in you like you do. When this is done right, only then can the impossible be made possible. So congratulations to all of you. You are extraordinary. You are truly role models for each and every one of us. One of the girls in our Girl Rising film is from Nepal. Her name is Suma. She became an indentured servant when she was 6. She was liberated when she was 12. Now that she's in school and fighting to liberate other servants, she says, I feel like I have power. I can do anything. And she says, I have important things to do. So do you. You're already doing important things, and you will make a difference, all of you. Thank you very much, and congratulations.
Ladies and gentlemen, our keynote speaker has arrived. And I will tell you as she makes her way up to the stage that there is no public official in this city who is more beloved and more effective than Gale Brewer. I have to say a few words about her because I know she's the borough president of Manhattan. We go back a few decades, but she really is the borough president for the city. She usually is at 6 or 7 events simultaneously. There are people nodding who know how ubiquitous Gale Brewer is when it comes to causes, when it comes to social justice. She did it in 11 years in the New York City Council. She did it for Mayor Dinkins. She did it as a deputy public advocate. She does it as a community activist. She is our champion. Please welcome the borough president of Manhattan, Gale Brewer.
I want to say congratulations to the Peter Jennings awardees. I don't know if CUNY knows, Kayce knows, but I was on the board of Veritas, which is a drug treatment program. And every year, I think because, Kayce can help me remember, I think partly because one of the members of the board was also Charlie Parker, who was a very famous musician, jazz, widow. And so every year we had the great jazz musicians come as part of a fundraiser. And the musicians would play. It was always drama to get them there, and then drama with where they were going to stay, and drama with the girlfriends, and drama. But the fact of the matter is, Peter Jennings was always the MC. He knew the music better than all of us in the audience, all of us on the board. So in addition to all the great work you're doing, you should know it's so special that he is being thought of in this way. And that's all thanks to Kayce and to CUNY. But I just want to let you know this is really special. So that's why it's particularly moving to be here today. And of course, for you and your families and your friends, this is a big milestone. It's proof that after all you've been through, the risk you took, all the sacrifices and shared hardships and the support you've gotten, it's time for all of us to honor you with your remarkable achievement. And you began in places near and far, our communities in East Harlem and Queens and the Bronx, Dominican Republic, Barbados, Mexico, Bangladesh, Australia, West Africa. I think also thanks to Veritas. So much of my life goes back to Veritas. I was on the board for 25 years, and you should know that we did something a little illegal sometimes, which is that before there was a women's program and children and moms could stay together doing drug treatment, because the whole program was aimed towards getting people back on their feet. There was a program for just people getting back on their feet. Veritas has now been merged. It's a wonderful program. And so I would take the young people for the 18 months when the moms were going through, because we didn't want to put them in the foster care system. Don't tell anybody, because it was probably illegal. But we would always keep them for 2 years, and then they would go back to them with their moms or their dads because they had had such great treatment at Veritas. So as a result, and even before, I've had many, many, like 30 foster care kids, just so you know. And so a couple of them now who are living with me are from West Africa and doing incredibly well. So you see, I honor your achievement, but I also love your story because I know it by heart. It's the oldest story of New York, the one lived by all those who come here determined to begin anew, filled with dreams and striving. It's also a story of everyday New Yorkers who, when faced with incredible challenges, found the new world they were seeking right beside themselves. Your stories are like the ones I've lived through, and I talked about some of the kids, but I know we have figured out how during the crisis of the 1980s in terms of drugs, again, back to the Veritas situation, a lot of young people came to live with us and pulled themselves together. During that time period, folks also unfortunately dropped kids off at St. Luke's Hospital, where my friend was a doctor, never picked them up, and they would end up at my house, and they're all successful because all they needed, just like CUNY does for all of us, not just you, but me too, gets everybody back on their feet. And that's why this program is so fantastic. Some of the young people are in culinary arts, some are carpenters. During those years, too, people would throw out, we have always had a lot of interns, Jane knows, hundreds of interns. I'm a big believer in that program, many from CUNY. And in the 1980s, when a young man was gay, sometimes their parents would throw him out as an intern. They would say, sorry, you can't come home. So we would take them. One young man graduated Stanford Law School because his parents threw him out, ended up at my house, ended up at Stanford Law School. I never knew what happened with him and his parents, because what a loss to them. Mohammed, who's with us now, he's the one from Gambia, and he was in the Bronx. He was an intern. He managed to find us, and he ended up in college and graduate school, and he's on the board of directors of his SUNY campus in terms of a trustee, and the life goes on. He's just amazing. So like you, all these young people amaze me by what they overcame and achieved. Their stories could be yours. Maybe they are, and having lived through their struggles, I know what it takes to get where you are today. Not only the hard work of school and job, of challenges and disappointments that would stop any ordinary person, but the lives you've had behind you all the way, even just part of the way. Many people talk about it, but you and I know how true it is. It takes a village. And what you've learned about that will now be paid forward, not just in the next steps you take, but in setting an example and creating that village for everyone else. That's our job, all of us, in our private lives, and in my case as a public official, which is to say someone who has never stopped believing that one person can make a difference in the lives of others, and then doing what's required to make it happen. All the people who are on the podium today, the persons here, are making a difference. And they are the force behind Peter Jennings Laurel Award scholarships, along with your teachers and your counselors. They're all people who live their lives 4 days just like today. To see proud graduates like you who have overcome so much and fulfilled the promise that they saw in you and that they wanted the world to benefit from. So in this sense, learning and graduating are not simply lifelong. Everyone knows that. What's lifelong is our responsibility to become the best people we can, to live up to our promise as much as we can, to heal the world and make the road for others. So I'm really humbled to be on that road with you, and I'm glad it's named after Peter Jennings. Congratulations.
For that purpose, I'm going to call up Dean Suri Deutsch, who's the University Dean for Continuing Education and Deputy to the Senior University Dean. She oversees continuing education, workforce development, adult literacy programs, college transition programs, services to students on public assistance. You see, this is how she spends her weekends, too. And I'm going to ask that Dean Deutsch, of course, coordinate the Chancellor, Kayce, our Borough President, and Dean MÖGULESCU for the photo op. Please welcome Dean Suri Deutsch.
I'm given the wonderful privilege of getting to read the student biographies, which is such a gift for me. So thank you. Written by my colleague Hilary Sedaris every year, who is a wonderful educator and writer. To start, Juana Almengo. Juana Almengo grew up on a farm in the Dominican Republic and dreamed of one day becoming a lawyer. As a young woman, Juana became the first in her family to immigrate to New York City. It was through her participation in her children's schooling that Juana's interest in her own education was rekindled. She remembers how frustrated she felt trying to communicate her thoughts at a PTA meeting where someone suggested that she enroll at the Adult Learning Center at LaGuardia Community College. Juana started in an English as a second language class and worked her way up to high school equivalency instruction, where she entered every discussion and every debate. For Juana, the LaGuardia teachers were like family. They helped each of us in our own need. The hardships that she experienced helped clarify her goal of working in the legal profession. She wrote, "It breaks my heart to see people in crisis." After earning her diploma, Juana attended the CUNY START program, passed her skills tests, and enrolled at LaGuardia as a degree student. When she recently came back to her class to encourage the other students to keep on studying, there was a real buzz in the air because, as Kayce said, she's considered a rock star by her peers. She plans to become a paralegal and work in family court. Alpha Ba was born in Guinea, West Africa, and grew up in Senegal. His family was large and resources were scarce. As a child, he loved school, but he recalls waking up with no hope of having something to put in your stomach. Desperate to find work, he left school in the 12th grade. Alpha immigrated to the U.S., where he took ESL classes at the Lehman College Adult Learning Center. In only 1 year, he was in a high school equivalency class. Despite the hardships of his childhood and his interrupted education, his teacher described Alpha as having a combination of underlying academic skills, focused determination, strong habits of study, and a strategic approach to learning, which enabled him to learn a lot in a short time and progress rapidly. Or, as Alpha put it, "I always found a way to get my homework done on time." Alpha also connected easily with other students, becoming a mentor to his classmates. His teacher called him the anchor of the class. Alpha is now majoring in multimedia studies at BMCC. He plans to continue his studies toward a bachelor's degree after he graduates. Alexis Booker grew up in East Harlem. He lost his mother when he was 8 and became a father at 18. After many years of working and wondering how his life would have been different had he stayed in school, he happened to overhear a conversation between a mother and son, the mother encouraging her son to go back to school. Alexis decided to take her advice and enrolled in a high school equivalency class at the College of Staten Island's Adult Learning Center. He felt fearful about comprehending the work and competing with a younger generation, but he soon got into the rhythm of being a student. Soon, Alexis's teacher also noticed his gift for writing. She told him, he recalls, to keep working and to be open to criticism. Alexis also became a scribe for a disabled classmate who couldn't take notes in class, and the two became close friends. After earning his diploma, Alexis passed the CUNY skills test in reading and writing, and after a semester in CUNY START, he was able to pass the math test and begin his college career. He is now a proud freshman at the College of Staten Island, where he plans to major in journalism and communications and to someday write short stories and children's books. Jermaine Fairweather grew up in the Bronx. One winter night in 2007, someone fired 18 bullets into the car he was driving. Jermaine was paralyzed from the waist down and spent 3 years in a nursing home. He decided to move to Queens because it was a place where he knew no one. In his own words, "I wanted to shed any semblance of the person I was on January 28, 2007. Encouraged by his siblings to go back to school, Jermaine discovered York College's Adult Learning Center. Until that moment, wrote Jermaine, I had never walked into any institution that was so welcoming and nurturing. Jermaine would face many more challenges. As he recuperated from surgeries and fought infections, he continued to study for and retake the high school equivalency exam. After his third attempt, he wrote, I was faced with a crisis in confidence, but I had a laser-like focus because I knew how much was at stake. I knew I had to get it right this time. On the day of the test, the elevators at Jermaine's train station were broken. He managed to get to the test center by an alternative route, arriving late, but he persuaded a proctor to allow him to test since he only needed to retake the social studies section. This time, he passed. In college, Jermaine would like to study African history. He is also interested in disability studies. He plans to advocate for those who don't have the strength or voice to get up and fight every day. He will start classes this fall as a freshman at New York City College of Technology. Samuel Guzman Santos came to New York from the Dominican Republic when he was 17. He spoke no English and was placed in the 9th grade, but he soon realized that English wasn't the only challenge to confront in high school. Samuel wrote, there were gangs in my neighborhood, and it was always a journey getting home safe. After he was assaulted, his mother took him out of school, and he began working as a restaurant delivery boy. When Samuel enrolled in a high school equivalency class at City College, he was a man with a purpose. He didn't want to delay his education any longer. Although he worked long hours, arriving home at 3 a.m. and waking at 7:30 to head for class, Samuel says, my desire to go to college was stronger than any challenges. His high school equivalency teacher described Samuel as a student who sat up front and asked lots of questions. Samuel's dream is to become an electrical engineer and to one day create technologies that will help humankind live a better life. Muhammad Islam grew up in Bangladesh. Soon after arriving in New York, he found out about the adult education program at Bronx Community College. He was placed in a pre-high school equivalency class, but he soon worked his way up. I made plans to overcome my challenges and pass the high school equivalency test, he said. Like most new immigrants, Muhammad struggled with English grammar and American history. He bought history books and spent many hours in the library studying. To maximize his learning, he asked his boss for a more flexible schedule and his teacher for extra assignments. His teacher was impressed by Muhammad's strong skills in math and science. Muhammad contributed to our earth science curriculum, she wrote, not only individually, but by organizing an excellent group presentation on tsunamis, which went far beyond the materials presented in class. Muhammad passed the high school equivalency exam on his first try and has just finished his first semester at Bronx Community College. He would like to broaden his exposure to the various branches of science before choosing a major and a career. ELAUDIS Mendez Henriquez grew up in the Dominican Republic. She came to New York with the dream of going to college and becoming a teacher. She enrolled in a high school equivalency class at Ostos Community College. She was tired from working all day as a cashier in a supermarket and then rushing to be on time for class. Being on time is important in American culture, ELAUDIS noted. At first, she says, she was in culture shock. So much about learning here was new and different, but these were changes she could and did make. Her teacher remembers that she indeed came to class on time, did her homework, contributed good ideas to discussions, and participated with several classmates in an additional Saturday study group. After earning her diploma, ELAUDIS attended the CUNY Language Immersion Program at CLIP, where she honed her reading and essay writing skills. That is how I overcame my challenges, she wrote, with hard work and commitment. SHANNA Medlock grew up in Queens. When she came to York College's Adult Learning Center, her teacher was impressed by her positive energy and eagerness to participate. It was obvious that she wanted to be in class, her teacher wrote. SHANNA was present in mind, body, and soul. What her teacher didn't know was that SHANNA had battled drug addiction for years and had been separated from her children. When assigned to write in response to the question, if you could spend an entire day, if you could spend an entire day with anyone, who would it be and why? SHANNA wrote about her daughter and the things they would do together. Shopping, baking, and then plain dress up. Although her little girl was now 13, SHANNA was determined to start a new life and reunite her family. The first time she took the high school equivalency exam, SHANNA got the remarkable score of 2910, yet she failed the math section by 10 points. She had conquered her addiction, and now it was time to conquer math. I had to be patient with myself, SHANNA wrote. I hadn't been in school for such a long time, but my teachers allowed me to make mistakes and learn from my mistakes. When she retook the test, her score was 2980, and yes, she did pass the math. She is currently a freshman at Borough of Manhattan Community College, where her major is human services. She plans to work with at-risk teens and help them make better choices in their lives. Daniel Quiroz grew up in Mexico. His parents were poor, so he worked during school breaks to help pay for his clothes and supplies. When he came to the U.S. as a young man, he found work in a restaurant where he learned what it meant, in his own words, to be discriminated against for not speaking English. About his first boss, Daniel said, "This guy was mean, but I think his nasty attitude encouraged me to learn English." Daniel enrolled in an English class and met friends who told him about BMCC's high school equivalency classes for adults. After signing up, Daniel continued to work as a baker, waking at 3 a.m. to commute from Brighton Beach to the Upper East Side and then going to school. Even in this sleep-deprived state, Daniel's curiosity and enthusiasm, as Kayce mentioned, drove class discussions toward deeper understandings. His teacher wrote, Daniel's excellent final project exploring the data at the core of the stop and frisk controversy combined his newly acquired mathematical skills with his highly developed social conscience. After earning his diploma, Daniel enrolled in the CUNY Start program at BMCC in fall 2013. He's now enrolled in a degree program at BMCC, majoring in liberal arts and education, and hopes someday to teach young dreamers like himself. Linda Sorkin grew up in Australia. She married young and left school to start a family. She always thought her goal was to be a housewife and a mother, but when her husband was disabled by a stroke, Linda realized that she would have to be the breadwinner. But how could she support her family without an education? She learned through the grapevine about adult literacy classes at Brooklyn College and signed herself up. She soon became known in the program for being outspoken as well as hardworking and focused. Her teacher wrote, "It took about a week of seeing her in action to understand how awesome she was. She put the younger, hipper students to shame with her insightful comments and her work ethic. She would need that work ethic to deal with math. In her own words, I believed I was no good in mathematics, but that didn't stop me from trying. Whenever I could, I grabbed my math book and did more practice." Since earning her diploma, Linda has become a Kingsborough Community College student working toward her degree in liberal arts. She plans to work in the field of early childhood education. Zaina Tate, who grew up in Barbados. She attended a pre-high school equivalency class at Medgar Evers College, where she quickly progressed to the point where her teacher knew she was ready to take the test. In her teacher's words, Zaina motivated both her teacher and her classmates to perform at a higher level. Her teacher also noted that Zaina spent many hours studying outside of class each week. When she heard about the opportunity to be mentored through a special program called Project Impact, Zaina signed up and met with her mentor there for 2 hours, 3 days a week. As her skills developed, Zaina became more confident and interested, especially in math, and she began to think about becoming a nurse. "There is a need for nurses in the health field," Zaina wrote. "I want people to be able to communicate with me and ask me questions about their health. I want to give them the answers they deserve." After earning her high school equivalency diploma, Zaina decided to become a peer mentor herself. When not in class, she spends her time tutoring other students in math and science. People should never underestimate their ability to accomplish their goals, she says. Zaina is currently enrolled in a degree program at Medgar Evers College.
One last round of applause for our winners. Incredible stories. We have one final speaker, and speaking on behalf of all the honorees is 2009 Peter Jennings Laurel Award recipient, and I heard him talking with our chancellor earlier today, quite a story. Earned his high school equivalency diploma at Brooklyn College, went on in 2009, right, and went on to earn his associate degree at Kingsborough Community College, his baccalaureate degree from the CUNY BA. Presently, he is in a combined MA PhD program at the CUNY Graduate School and working at CUNY's Central Office of Student Affairs. He hopes to eventually become a Vice President of Students. Please welcome Dwight Howard Johnson.
Thank you so much. I am really honored to be here today, and I am humbled to have been asked to speak on behalf of the current and former recipients of the Peter Jennings Laurel Awards. I hope today, through my sharing of some of my triumphs and challenges, I am able to pay special respect to the past and current award recipients who themselves have their own stories, their own set of triumphs, and their own set of challenges. I would like to begin today by thanking Kayce Freed Jennings and the Peter Jennings Foundation, along with the firm Abernathy and McGregory, for your gracious support of students who have gained their high school equivalency through the CUNY Adult Literacy and High School Equivalency programs. This means so much to us, and it shows your dedication to the mission of these programs. Peter Jennings himself used to take such strong interest in us and always spoke so passionately about the importance of continuing our education. Your support also shows your dedication to each and every award recipient. Your scholarship, for me personally, helped me with purchasing textbooks and supplies which were essential to my successes during my first semester of college. I would also like to acknowledge this year's Peter Jennings Laureate recipients. They have come from very diverse beginnings with more than a few hardships in life, but with shared goal of gaining access to higher education. Through their passion, hard work, with the help of this scholarship award, in a few years, New York City can count on having a writer, a specialist in disability studies, a multimedia program designer, 2 teachers, a paralegal, an electrical engineer, a nurse, a counselor for high-risk teens, a child psychologist, and a scientist to add to the city's already long list of outstanding professionals. Roughly 6 years ago, I was sitting where you are today. My journey in high school equivalency to college and now graduate and doctoral studies has been an amazing but difficult one. I have learned so many life lessons, met so many friends and mentors, traveled across the globe, learned how to swim, learned a second language, read many books, written many papers, passed many exams, and to be honest, failed a few. And most importantly, I have fallen many times, but I've always gotten back up. The completion of my high school equivalency was one of the biggest hurdles for me to overcome in my journey to higher education. For me, it meant having been let go from a 7-year employment after a yearly employee review discovered that I checked yes to the questions, have you graduated from high school, on my job application. It has meant dealing with the everyday struggles and triumphs of adult attention deficit disorder. It has meant walking to GED classes when I had no means of paying for my way on public transportation. So I understand what you have accomplished here today. This is no minor task. You have proven that you're academically ready to take on the challenges of higher education. And for the most part, most of our recipients currently have at least 1 semester of college under their belts. So this is something I'm sure that they're aware of. Like most of this year's recipients, I entered the university system directly after completing my high school equivalency. I enrolled at Kingsborough Community College in spring 2009. At Kingsborough, I learned many valuable lessons, and many of these lessons I still utilize today as a graduate student here at the CUNY Graduate Center. I've learned that it's important to be proud of your accomplishments while remaining humbled by the experiences. It is also important to acknowledge your areas of challenge, but not be overcome by them. I have learned that there will be times when you fall, but rest assured that with the support of your friends, your family, teachers, bosses, mentors, allies, you will be able to get back up. Recently, I had the opportunity to speak with a group of students who are in the high school equivalency program at Brooklyn College, where I prepared for my high school equivalency. The stories they spoke of were heartbreaking. Well, the stories that they spoke of, some heartbreaking, will needlessly propel them into higher education, and from there, a better life, a more successful life for their kids, their families, their friends, and themselves. And through the stories that these students shared with me, they came to embody one of the most important lessons that I learned in my journey to higher education. That is, never be afraid or ashamed to tell your story. For me, it was important for my own growth to be able to tell my story, to share with others my path to high school equivalency and my journey in higher education. By sharing our stories, we are able to connect to one another. It enables us to communicate how we want to be treated, what we value, and most importantly, it enables us to communicate what is possible. By sharing our stories, we can express to others they are not alone, that they too can be successful, that they too can rise above adversity, and most importantly, that they too can be leaders. By sharing our stories, we heal and grow, but we also inspire healing and growth in others. Peter Jennings Laurel recipients, from your stories which you have shared, which I have heard today, we are able to connect with each other. We are richer for the understanding of what's important to you, what you value, and what you feel is possible. Thank you so much, and good luck in your studies. And please continue sharing your stories. And come back next year and be a role model for the next group of award recipients. Thank you so much.
So as I said, I woke up this morning with a glow. I even feel it more now. I want to thank our Chancellor, our Borough President, Kayce, Suri, the winners. It was a glorious morning. Thanks very much.